Hey everybody, welcome back to Leosophy. I got 3 more questions. I'm going to jump right in. Question number 1. What's the deal with kimchi and cancer? Oh man, I wish I had a clear-cut answer, but there's been some new information that suggests that pickled foods, particularly lacto-fermented foods like kimchi, might lead to an increase in H. pylori, which is the bacteria associated with ulcers and causes a rise in stomach, gastric, esophageal type cancers. I think gastric and stomach are the same. But you get the idea. Here's the problem, though. Scandinavian countries pickle a lot of food. They don't have the same rates as Korea and Japan. Japan rates are high given their consumption of pickled food because it's not as much as Korea, but Korea is really high. And in Eastern Europe, they like pickled food too, lacto fermented as well, and they have high rates of esophageal and stomach cancer. So it's a little, knowing for sure that that's the commonality is hard to say. Some people even think that it's the sodium. But yeah, in the meantime, in my opinion, eat however much pickled food you want, and we'll worry about the science later. I know that's might be bad advice, but I think there's more to it than we're looking at. In fact, I'm more inclined to think, just as people have a gut biome, I'm inclined to think that some sort of upset in people's internal biome is what's really driving the H. pylori, which it could be in tandem with lacto-pickled foods, but it's probably not the underlying cause itself, and correcting a microbiome issue is probably a more effective strategy than just avoiding anything that's lacto-fermented. So, hope that answers that one. Let's see, next one. What was your recommendation for a invertebrate pet? Well, let's look at some of the big things. One, you want something that has a long life, but probably not crazy long. You probably want something that's easy to take care of, and you probably want something that's not dangerous. So I'm biased on this, but I think either a vinegaroon, a tailless whip scorpion, or a tarantula in the genus Brachypelma or Grammostola, I'm a little less inclined. Grammostolas are great, but they live a long time and they grow slowly. And then also Tliltocotyle, which is probably the genus I would actually recommend the most. That being said, if you want to get started with something a little easier, even though they don't live as long, jumping spiders are great. Praying mantises are great. I recommend if you have either of those that you also get into breeding them because, again, they live about a year or two, generally speaking. But yeah, those are my recommendations. Just stay away from any old world tarantulas, millipedes because they can be a little tricky, and centipedes by far because they can be really tough to take care of if you don't know what you're doing. The learning curve's a little rougher, and their bites are really painful from what I hear. That's all I got for that one. I hope it answered it. Let's see, third and last question. In a previous vid, you talked about upping your pantry game. What do you recommend to get started? Right off the bat, the big one for your pantry would be carbs. So I recommend, and usually you can find really good sales for pasta, a decent amount of rice. I like to have 2 different kinds at any given point, usually short grain or medium grain rice, cow rose, because that's what you can get in the U.S., and jasmine. But that's whatever you want. You can get basmati, you can get flipping whatever. So rice, pasta, other kinds of noodles. I personally like to get a lot of dried somen and soba noodles. But, I make miso soup like once a week. That's another one, miso. Some people refrigerate miso, some people don't. I don't really know what the hard rule is, but I still consider it a pantry good. Let's see, dried beans, that's a big one. Sardines, if you like them, I do. Let's see, spices, including spice mixtures, that's always good, especially for the tedium. It seems unimportant, but in a real situation where you want something, spices can be really important. It breaks up the tedium, it increases morale, it lets you do more. It's literally why colonization of the world happened. People wanted spices, so stock up on spices. Salt, obviously, doesn't sound important, but you do definitely need to stock up on salt. Things of that sort. I think that really kind of covers the big thing, and everything else that from there can spiral out based on preferences. Like, again, I like miso soup, so I get also kombu and nori and things like that. But really, it's more a question of like what kind of food you like. If you like more Tex-Mex stuff, get some black beans, etc. Chickpeas, that's the other big one. Chickpeas. That answers all the questions, I guess. Like, share, subscribe, keep asking questions. Bye.